The Unplayable Podcast is proudly presented by Qantas, the official podcast partner and the official airline partner of Cricket Australia. Once again this season, Qantas is proud to be flying Australia's cricketers as they take on the world. Welcome to the Unplayable Podcast. It all comes down to this. After a season of toil, we come to our last episode. The Sheffield Shield is complete. All the Aussie cricket is complete. A few little bits and pieces still going on, but we're going to wrap it up with this episode here. My name is Josh Schonafinger, bringing in Kane Richardson as always, who's probably feeling a little bit dusty after those South Australian celebrations over the weekend. How's it going, mate?
Good, mate. Yeah, as you can see, pulled the props out on day 5 when I checked the score on Safari. It wasn't long after play had started, just seeing, I wonder what the score is. Oh, it's over. So I popped the champagne, cancelled the rest of the day's plans and got amongst it, FaceTimed in, and it was basically like I'm there. But, yeah, amazing. Feeling very, very happy.
FaceTimed in?
No, I didn't. That was a joke.
Okay.
Yeah. Fast players aren't welcome in the inner sanctum. Not like that. So, but basically, social media is like FaceTime, isn't it?
So. Saw some great videos from the rooms, singing the song. You would have been singing along at home, I imagine.
Well, I actually forgot the words, I think, because they've changed it as well. It used to be the Redbacks, and now they've changed that to SACAs. So,
of course,
put their new spin on it, which they should. But yeah, great scenes, awesome to see. First time they've done it back to back.
Yeah, amazing in 150 or something years. So congratulations to South Australia. Do you want to get into the weekly winner? I feel like there might be a connection there.
Is there anyone else? Can there be anyone else apart from Bosnia and Herzegovina? Is that how you say it?
Close enough. Yeah, they're going through the FIFA World Cup.
Yeah, knocked Italy out. So anyway, we digress. But yes, absolutely. South Australia for me.
They're your weekly winner.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that final. We're going to hear from Ryan Harris and Nathan McSweeney, who did a press conference straight after that victory. So we'll throw to them in just a little bit. My weekly winner, I've gone a little bit different. I've gone for Adam Zampa because, when you're at home with 2 kids, it can be hard to find time to, watch the shows you want to watch. And over in the PSL, he put in a really good performance. And then this is what he said after taking home the player of the match.
I'm dedicating this trophy to Jerry Seinfeld. He's getting me through a lot of hotel time watching his TV show. So thanks, Jerry.
So there you go. I mean, I knew he was a big Seinfeld fan, Zams, but obviously when you're wrangling 2 kids and a life back home, it's hard to do. But when you're in a hotel in Pakistan, well, makes sense.
Well, I'll argue that. I've shared house with him before on Big Bash, and he would chuck it on at 10 a.m, put his kids down on the mat and sit there and watch it. So it doesn't matter if kids are around or not. That's like his background. It puts him to sleep as well after a game. Been in his room a few times. He'll have a whiskey after a game, chuck Seinfeld on the iPad, and I'll be like, all right, I'm out. Because he wants to talk about it like he's the dictionary of Seinfeld. And you're like, remember episode 57? No, I haven't watched it at all. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's his thing.
Okay, so he'd know word for word every episode.
Apparently, I think he does, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, well, there you go, Sam. He's our weekly winner. Okay, let's get to the Sheffield Shield final. It was South Australia winning in dramatic circumstances on the 5th morning. Victoria needed 195 to win. In fact, they needed only 94 more runs with 7 wickets in hand at the end of the 4th day. But then double strike, Hanscom and Harris both went out in the space of a couple of balls. Victoria brought out the double night watchman. And while those 2 survived the next day, they didn't last much longer on day 5. And the South Australian Quicks got the job done to go back-to-back.
Well, it's the double strike the night before when I saw Chris Rogers speaking about it afterwards, but that feels now in hindsight such a pivotal moment. 2 experienced players. You spoke last week about Harris being in the middle order now and how much of a trump card that can be. But losing them both, that night and then sending in the double night watchies, they did bat deep with obviously everyone pushing down the order with the night watchies. But those I think that's what they'll rue, those dismissals and then also the Carey-McAndrew partnership that morning. And I'm sure South Australia, as they reflect, they'll be the 2 moments that they feel like they got out of jail and Victoria will feel like they let one slip. But what an amazing game, like a 5-dayer. The wicket was great. It felt like there was always something happening. So, incredible. Some guys, again, enhanced their stocks. But just a really good advertisement for domestic cricket.
After we saw those 2 play out the match in round 10 and it was a pretty placid surface and big scores and spinners bowling, junk time overs, Obviously, the curators had just kept something up their sleeve and produced an absolute cracking pitch. So that was good to see. And yeah, that Carey-McAndrew partnership, those two came together at 7 for 122. South Australia were only leading by 59 at that point. But Carey was given the singles. So he got off strike straight away, pretty much every over. And then McAndrew lasted for 144 balls, made 60. Even though he was on one leg, he was really struggling to bowl in that first innings. And then, of course, when the match was on the line in the second innings, there was no signs of that whatsoever. I think he said afterwards, like the cortisone was just getting him through. He's a real warrior, and had his coach, Ryan Harris, saying that he should be closer to Test selection.
Well, we did talk about that last week, didn't we? That he's kind of that age profile now where it's kind of now or never. And if he does get to the end of his career and doesn't play for Australia, I'm sure he'll not feel like he didn't leave anything to chance. He's, like you said, he's a warrior. He backs up all the time. He's resilient. He started his first-class career, in his late 20s, so he's made up for lost time in this past, especially in the past 3 years. I think he's basically led the Shield stats. So what an amazing recruitment from SA to get someone like that. And there's been a bit of talk again, as there was last year, about how many of the guys are from interstate. But you can only, if they want to come play for you and they're not going to game for their home state, I think that's shrewd recruiting, and you give them an opportunity when no one else will. So he's taken it with both hands, and he's putting together a serious first-class career now. So I'm sure what Ryan Harris says will hold some weight when, that brutal Test schedule gets underway in August this year.
Why don't we hear from Nathan McSweeney and Ryan Harris, which also included the coach saying that this year, surprisingly, was a more special victory than their drought-breaking one last year. So here they are.
Cracking game of cricket. What was the thoughts yesterday when you were 7 for only leading by 60 odd?
Yeah, very nervous, thinking maybe the game has, just slipped through our hands. But boys, Kez and Macca, to be able to spend so much time in the middle and chip away, at a total, saying, 130, 140 is enough, and then to get, I think, 195 ahead, just gave us so much momentum and something to really bowl at. And, our quicks have been great all year, probably the last, 3 or 4 years. So to give them the ball and go to work was fantastic to see.
It's pleasing to have Alex Carey back in the side, 2 Shield final tons now.
Yeah, I mentioned it just before, but I think any time he, in particular, wears, a baggy red and plays for the SACA, he's made so many runs for us in the last couple of years. He's obviously on-field performances are great, but off the field he's just as important. So good to have in my corner as a captain, just to bounce ideas off. He brings a real calmness to the group, and we're very lucky to have him, and he's always up for it, always up to play, and we're super lucky to have him in our team.
Just on Liam Scott's development over the last 24 months, 2 really crucial wickets there either side of stumps for you guys.
Yeah, Scotty, anyone that was here will know what the breeze was like the first few days, and for him to push up into the breeze all game, to nail his length, to make batters play, consistently beat the bat, is fantastic to see him get some reward late last night and this morning. So very lucky for me as a captain to hand him the ball. He won't, he'll control the scoreboard, he'll put balls in the right area, and today he got the reward, which is very pleasing to see.
Question for both of you. There were so many moments and turning points in this game that could have gone either way so many times. Just for both of you, was there one particular moment where you went, that's where it hinged? Is there anything that stood out?
Probably last night with Harris and Hanscom. That was probably one for me. I reckon 10 minutes before that, I was thinking if they get through tonight, we don't get at least one of them. It would have been tougher this morning, no doubt. But I think to get 2, blokes who have played Test cricket, can bat a long time, and on a nice wicket with an older ball. That was sort of the turning point. I think to be able to, to get them 16 and 9 minutes before stumps was pretty good. I think that was sort of the turning point. On top of probably the partnership obviously got us into a position where we had a target to bowl at. But I reckon for me that was probably last night.
You spoke last year about building sustained success. What's next now that you've 3 in a row?
Yeah, number 3 would be nice. I'm going to enjoy this one first, because this is, as I was saying to a couple of players over there, coaching for me last year was easy. We went through last year not many injuries. Nathan went up to the Test team for a couple of games. We had Carey back for a lot of that. As we have this year, the back end, it was easy. This year was bloody hard. And that's what probably makes this a little bit more special in terms of last year. Like last year, playing at home with all those people around the state was just amazing. To come over here and do it in Victoria, which is, as I said from the start, it's bloody good. But for this group and the organisation, and I've had the CEO, I've had my general manager come up to me and say we've already won. Whether we won today, we've already won with being here and the versatility, or the trouble we've had during the year with players. It was so today is just more special. I mean, yeah, it's amazing. I did an interview straight after the game. I was a bit emotional about it, but just so proud of these blokes and not just these guys. Sorry, the whole group. We've got 26 guys. Hedy's played 2 games for us this year. I know he'd be, he's sitting in India watching this. So I think just the whole group I'm just so proud of them.
There they are, 2 very chuffed individuals, back-to-back winners, and immediately they're just they've put themselves into the annals of South Australian cricket with these 2 victories. I was a bit surprised that Harris was so intent on saying that this win was better than last year, because obviously there was all that emotion around last year. But then when I heard him explain it and the injuries and winning away, first time a team has won that or done that in a decade, it makes sense that this one means more.
Yeah, I think managing through what he said, the injuries and the schedule, they haven't lost a game since October.
Yeah.
So they've drawn a lot of cricket. They've done it the hard way. But also, I actually messaged him last night, but it resonated last year when he was up accepting the trophy, how he said that he hopes it's not a long time waiting for the next one. And I reckon a lot of guys in that position, you've just broken a 30-year drought. I think that's the last thing in your mind. But I reckon for him, because he used to play for South Australia through one of those periods where we didn't win anything and we didn't look like we were a basket case, I reckon for him to then think in the moment, no, I want to be here again next year. And I reckon that would have resonated with a lot of other people. And typical South Australia, usually when something's good, I reckon we're comfortable and content with that. But I think his attitude is, no, we want more. So to back that up and be the first, they're the first South Australian team in 150 years. So for him to say that it does mean more, does make sense. And it's kind of that new attitude that he's brought to that team. They don't give up. They keep fighting. When I was at South Australia, for as long as I was at South Australia, they were words that were never used to describe the South Australian cricket team. Really. And when I left, I think that's something that he's brought with him, and I reckon that just shows how much he's made an impact on that team.
Yeah. What about, there's ways to describe teams, but internally, I'm sure those words would have been used.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone talks about each other and in a sanctum as glowingly as possible, but it doesn't matter what you think. It's what the opposition think or what the cricket community think of you. And, for 10 years, we were winning wooden spoons consistently. So, like I said, for him to come in, break the drought, but then also be like, we're not happy with just breaking the drought. Let's keep doing this. And they've got an opportunity, them and Victoria, if you look at it, like with the young players they've both got, there's no excuse to not be back there again. So, yeah, such an impressive coach.
A lot of props have to go to Alex Carey as well. By reports, turned down a PSL deal to make sure that he was playing in the Sheffield Shield final. He became just the 3rd player to hit centuries in consecutive finals, and both were victories, of course. And he's certainly done a lot to enhance his reputation even further. We had a few weeks ago, Irene, I think it was, nominate Carey as a big game player. Wow, this just underlines it once again, and he's done it again, following on from that Adelaide Oval century earlier in the season.
Well, that chat, the big game players chat and the statues chat, we probably had it too early. If we had it this week, I think his name front and centre.
It would be up there, definitely.
Get him a statue at Adelaide Oval with Hedy. So I think it definitely means something to him. Like when I look at that team, like him, Jake Lehman, and then I'll throw those guys that were there, McAndrew, McSweeney. I'm trying to think of the guys that came across, Henry Hunt, kind of before Ryan Harris arrived and things started to change.
Thornton maybe, Buckingham.
Yeah, those guys, they saw what it was like as it was, we were trying to spring up the ladder. So and Alex has been around a long time. He's going back to the Darren Berry days. So, that's a guy who's seen it both sides. And for him to go back and play the final and perform as well as he has, it obviously means something to him. So, legacy enhancing summer for Alex Carey.
Absolutely. Now, I want to get your thoughts on the injury substitute, which we saw come into play in the 3rd evening. Mitch Perry came in for the injured Sam Elliott. got a wicket with the first ball. McSweeney didn't offer a shot. Left South Australia 3 for 35 and in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But it did have the cricket community asking questions about, well, how can we have a fresh bowler coming in to play on the third evening?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that? Strong thoughts? Or
Well, it's been there all year, hasn't it?
yeah, and it's still a trial, we must say, that they're just testing it out, but it could have had a huge impact on this
Yeah,
game.
it could have. I don't like it. We don't like it. I don't like it personally. I think, yeah, like you said, to have a bowler come in fresh, I know it's not their fault. I know why it happened, but that's part of 4-day cricket is if you do go a man down early on, it's just, you got to fight even harder. And it's kind of the balance of your team when you select an 11 at the start of the game is to hopefully cover bases of, if you go a quick down or a spin or whatever it is, that you've got a good enough team to cover that. So I must admit, I don't like it. I didn't also like that. Well, I did and didn't like that Ryan Harris thought, well, should we do the same? We've got Wes Agar sitting there on the bench. And that just, to me, is not what first class and 4 or 5 day cricket should be about. I think it is once the coin goes up, you're into it, and that's the 11 that have the opportunity. And if you're 12th man, you are you're done, aren't you? And I know the concussion sub is probably different, but there was some stories that he wasn't even allowed to warm up in the nets. Like the umpires were saying to Mitch Perry, you can't warm up in the nets. So if you're going to have this rule, let's keep some common sense about it. They wouldn't let Ben Rohrer subfield when the real 12th man was off playing club. It's just a mess. So if you're going to have this rule, have some understanding and some common sense around it, because that's pretty farcical.
Definitely. And because teams get the right to match, as you said, South Australia don't need an injury if Victoria use their injury sub. How stiff would you be if you're one of those bowlers from South Australia who maybe didn't bowl the best in the first innings? Now you get subbed out without a chance to redeem yourself in the second
Well,
inning.
that's absolutely right. And I think that's, the beauty of 4-day cricket is you get that second innings to kind of make amends if you do have a poor first innings. So that's what Ryan Harris said. He was happy with how they bowled in the first innings, and he didn't feel like walking up to someone and saying, move over, Agar's coming in or whoever it was, is the right thing to do. So, yeah, I just don't like that conversation at all. I understand why it's been there all year to trial, but I don't think it's got a future, personally. I just don't like that whole conversation around it. You flip the coin and you're into it.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, well, we'll see.
Agree?
I agree. I totally agree.
That's good.
No doubt from me here. But we'll see what Cricket Australia want to do next season. It's sort of on their balls in their court, and obviously we'll see what the ICC have thought about this trial as well, because they've been watching it as well. So,
well, has there any other competition in the world?
No, not at the minute.
Yeah,
but,
so county cricket don't do it.
No, I believe they were given the opportunity to bring it in for this season, but yeah, I don't think they've decided to do that.
I don't think it makes sense in any format.
Well, we have the impact player.
Yeah, but even that
IPL.
becomes there's talk around that just not being, teams bat way too long and it changing the product of the game. Teams are making 280. I don't think that's a good thing either. So, again, what's wrong with you could have 2 different sheets for batting and bowling. Maybe that's a thing, but there's nothing wrong. We've survived as long as we have with bare 11s and just working it out.
I also think there's too much opportunity to game the system with injury subs.
Definitely.
We're
not saying that happened in this case.
No,
but,
totally not.
But I do agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe teams bring in a replacement who is a better batter than their replacement. Yeah, anyway.
It's never like for like.
It's never exactly like for like, so tough one.
Yeah.
I gave you a bit of homework as well during the week. Given the talk of Nathan McAndrew being close to Australian selection, and we saw 3 pacemen outside of the big 3 play for Australia over the Ashes series in Brendan Doggett, Michael Neser and Jai Richardson. I wanted to ask you, if we were picking Cummins, Hazelwood, Stark and Boland as the first 4 selected, who would be the next 4 in line? So if we're picking an Australia A squad to play, let's say, a Perth test, fast and bouncy, plenty on offer for the fast bowlers, if we're picking it today, who's getting picked?
So I can't pick those 4.
You can't pick the big 4 because they're playing for Australia. So who's playing for Australia?
Well, the homework you gave me, I didn't take those names into consideration. You just mentioned the ones who played in the Ashes just gone. So Doggett, Richardson, Neser.
You can use them. If
I feel like they're in the main squad, so they're not available.
Gotcha.
They're training, getting ready.
I like that. Yeah.
Okay, so my Aussie attack is Fergus O'Neill and Nathan McAndrew.
1 and 2.
1 and 2. They're opening the bowling. I'm going to give you this is a 12. So this is my bowling group in the 12. You can pick the team.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm going to give you 4 quicks, a spinner, and an all-rounder.
Oh, okay.
O'Neill and McAndrew, Liam Hatcher,
Really?
and Riley Meredith.
Okay.
Corey Roccacelli is your spinner, and Liam Scott, your boy. So he's obviously in, but he's the all-rounder. So again, one of those guys gets injured in the game, Scotty's workload goes through the roof. That's why you pick an all-rounder. That's why you have an all-rounder or a spinner.
Yeah.
And a spinner. So that's my Aussie attack. There's guys that are stiff. There's, Mitch Perry, Sam Elliott that we spoke about. Gabe Bell had a good year. Shout out Cameron Gannon, who played every single game as a 37-year-old fast bowler, by the way. So there's some unlucky guys there. Matt Kelly had a good first half of the year. But if I'm picking an Aussie squad, they're my bowlers.
And talk to me about the Riley Meredith selection.
Well, I've always been a big fan. He played 5 games this year, so small samples half the year. He took 30 wickets.
Yeah, right.
And I just feel like he should be in the conversation more for Australia.
Okay. All formats, clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. I did think there was a while there where he was wasted playing Shield cricket. I felt like he was burning his white ball stuff, getting injured all the time. But I feel like his age now, he should be past those things. He's always going to be at risk. He bowls 150 k's an hour, so he's always going to be at risk. But that skill set, I reckon, like Lance Morris when he's fit, you just have to give them as many opportunities as possible with the ability they have. So, yeah, he showed enough this year in first-class cricket to be around the mark.
I've got another stat for you on Meredith as well. From those 30 wickets, 10 of those were bowled, which is obviously a third.
So you had him?
Well, I didn't
you've
have
obviously
him.
done some
I was just
research.
looking at his wickets, but to have a third of your wickets bowled, that
Yeah.
was the highest percentage in the Shield this season. So
Pretty good.
That's pace.
I think he's just like Big Bash T20. He's shown he keeps getting better. He's become consistent, and he doesn't get a whole lot of opportunity in first class cricket because he often is managed, rested. Hobart Hurricanes, you got to look after him. But I think if he played 7, 8 first class games a year, he'd be amongst the highest wicket takers always. And it's just again that skill set. You want guys like that in your team. So I don't know how old he is, but I still feel like he's late 20s. He's got a bit of time on his side.
And from New South Wales, obviously Liam Hatcher had a career best year so far. He led all comers with 44 wickets in the Shield. Does he pip like a fellow New South Welshman like Sean Abbott for that spot?
Yeah, I think from just talking to people this year, the year he had, it's not based purely off stats, which helps, but he was a leading wicket taker. But he just didn't go away. I think he backed up in games. He would just keep coming in. He would never relent. He'd be the guy who had to bowl bounces. From memory, that's a tough job. Like having to do that, he did it. He did it well, and he kept performing. So I think he's probably a guy that with New South Wales change of coach, I reckon that's one you're locking in as the leader of your bowling attack now going forward. So probably surprised a few people based off one good year, but I think there's a good skill set there. He bowls quick enough. He just doesn't go away, and they're the guys you want in your team.
Excellent. Okay, we'll lock those 4 in and
Debate away.
Debate away. That's right. Why don't we take a quick break, Richo? When we're going to come back, we'll talk about our breakout picks for the year, the players who are doing their thing in the PSL, and the Aussie women dominating in the Caribbean. So earlier in the year, we selected a range of players who we thought might be breakout players for this season, Richo, and I think it was back in September or
Yeah, it was a while ago.
maybe even August. And so we put our necks on the line and we've selected some players, and while they haven't all been hits, there have been some hits in there, and so we might just circle back to those. Now,
Receipts.
The receipts, exactly. There were a few obvious ones who we missed,
Yeah.
who I did make a note of. Liam Hatcher was, of course, one of those. None of us picked him, but he had a fantastic season. Tim Ward,
Yep.
in all 3 formats, was very good. Who else? Rachel Treneman came into the test squad. Fantastic talent from Tasmania. And Annie Wickman as well from the ACT had a great season. There was one else who I had on that list who I am now blanking on, but we can come back to them. So take it away. Who were you happy with from your selection?
Well, mine were Jack Edwards, Brodie Couch, Millie Illingworth, Marley Beardman, and Jordan Buckingham. So I remember, I think we spoke about it, some parameters around it, because you could pick Annabelle Sutherland as a breakout if you wanted to, but she had broken out already. So my thought was they're on the cusp of Australian selection. That was kind of my and the Couch one you could say is probably far fetched, but I originally had Cal Vidler, as I think
That's right. Yeah,
Jack may have had, or
That's right.
And so it was a late change, and I feel like he was going to have a big year for WA with Lance Morris being injured. He had a decent Shield season, but probably didn't nail the Big Bash like he wanted. But my star will be Jack Edwards.
Yeah.
So firsthand, watching him at the Sixers, the Big Bash campaign he put together, I think he surprised himself, but also everyone at how consistent and dependable he became with the ball, which he hadn't shown. He'd shown glimpses, but to be bowling power play, surge, death, power hitting at the end, safe pair of hands, just showed the whole package, which there's been glimpses for a while, gets his first Australian cap. So tick that one off. That was my kind of thought process. Is he going to push play for Australia? Marley Piedmont also did, but I think that was an easy tick for everyone. We could all picked him and probably known. So
how hard is it to bowl in all three phases of T20 cricket? Not many players can do it, right?
Yeah, it's tough, especially the Big Bash with the surge. Just having
4 phases.
4 phases, yeah, you could argue. Yeah, it is. So, it's so hard. I think for someone like that as well, whenever I did it, I didn't have the stress of having to also bat middle order or power hit at the end. So his training and his prep for a game would be double the amount of what I remember doing. So it's a large workload. But if he can sustain that again, and they're going to hope he can, that they're the guys who don't grow on trees. They're dime a dozen. So big future for him, but big summer.
And
also.
he's been around for a long time. He's not old, is he?
Well, I think that was the appeal of the selection as well, is that he captained New South Wales in 4-day cricket. He's been around. I remember playing him what feels like 10 years ago, but he's 26, so it wasn't 10 years ago. So, been around long enough that he was going to finally start nailing it. So probably wasn't a massive call from me in hindsight.
As you said, though, he made his T20 debut in Pakistan just last month, and then was also named in the BBL team of the tournament. So that's a pretty good sign.
And an IPL paycheck, $500,000. Unfortunately, he's injured, and that's probably the one thing he's a little bit now he's going to have to contend with. But anytime you're getting picked in the IPL for decent coin is almost like being picked for Australia in terms of you're a wanted commodity. So big summer.
Great. Well done, Jack, and well done, Richo.
Thank you.
So my selections were Liam Scott, Caleb Jewell, Lockie Hearn, Sophie Day, Sienna Ginger. And it's hard to go past Liam Scott, isn't it? Sheffield Shield player of the tournament, obviously in that team of the tournament as well. Made his maiden first-class century, got a fifer, and claimed his second Shield title to a couple of key wickets as well.
He had a big say in the final, didn't he?
Yeah,
he
did. Yeah,
just showed his versatility again.
And I think it showed a lot of people just how reliable he is with the ball, like his consistency. Obviously, we were marvelling at Fergus O'Neill for Victoria, who seemingly never missed the spot. Scott was equally as good as Nathan McSweeney said. He was bowling into the breeze the whole game, which you've got experience with, but a lot of fast bowlers don't like doing. So, props to him. It was a great season.
Great pick. He's one of those guys, I remember seeing him when he came to SA. I think he came from either New South Wales or Queensland, but the coaches were like, he's almost the equivalent of a top 5 draft pick in footy, and somehow he's come here because he feels like he'll get an opportunity. So again, he's one of these guys that if he's in New South Wales, doesn't feel like he'll get a game as quick as he would in SA. And I remember seeing him, I was like, I was a slow burn early. And he was always, the guy he is now is what we needed back 10 years ago. He could bowl 15 overs a day, be dependable, bat middle order, again, be consistent. We didn't have that for so long. We didn't have that really ever. So sorry to the guys who I played with that tried to fill that role. But those guys who can, it's like an Andrew McDonald for Victoria for so long. That was always the guy we wanted to find, and they finally got him. So, and again, you're talking cusp of Australian selection. There's some good all-rounders, Bo Webster's around the mark, and obviously Cam Green's not going anywhere, but you're putting pressure on him with a season like that, aren't you? So I think he gets to go to England now and gets his first taste of county cricket. So again, his development will keep continuing on, and for him, it's staying injury-free and also keep building on that consistency, but massive tick from you and Scotty.
And a good Big Bash campaign from him as well, actually. So that's also another little tick I'll just add to that one. From Jack Painter's point of view, he's another senior writer at cricket.com.au. He went for Marley Beardman as well. He had Lucy Hamilton on the list, Campbell Callaway, Charlie Knott, and Raf McMillan. We're probably just going to have to give a tick to Lucy Hamilton there, aren't we? Maybe a bit of an obvious selection, but she made her debut in all 3 formats at the end of this summer and dominated on Test debut. Looks the part. She's got captaincy experience, so there's that leadership angle as well. And, she's just going to be a star.
Yeah, her debut was incredible, wasn't it? So it looked like a seasoned pro, not someone on debut. So like you said, it was an easy tick, but did anyone else pick her? I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, Laura Jolly and Lou Cameron.
There you go. So it was an easy tick.
Yeah.
I should have copied the notes on that one maybe, but yeah, massive tick for that one.
Laura Jolly went for Sienna Ginger, similar to me. Also had Lucy Hamilton. Also had Shelly Knott, and then Annika Leroyd and Grace Lyons as well. I guess we'll give the ticks to Hamilton.
We'll speak on their behalf, won't we?
We will have to.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to. And Louis Cameron went for Lucy Hamilton again, so that's a tick. Blake Nikitaris, Tom Whitney, Aidan O'Connor. Those three guys all played 2 Shield matches this season. Just a bit of numerology there for you. And then also went for the left field pick of Annabelle Sutherland, who claimed her second Belinda Clark award, obviously dominated the test matches. But we said that she needed to be player of the tournament, the World Cup, to actually grow again, and she didn't quite get there.
Cross.
But
keep an eye on her, though.
She's not going
maybe next year.
That's right. And so while we're talking about Annabelle Sutherland, she is sitting out this tour of the West Indies that Australia on at the minute, but it hasn't stopped Sophie Molyneux's team just continuing to win. They won that T20 series 3-0. They've now won the first 2 ODIs pretty convincingly as well. The first one by 103 runs, where they scored a record 341, the highest score ever in women's ODIs in the Caribbean. And then they won the second by 90 runs. Georgia Wareham struggled in the T20 series, but then player of the match in both of those first 2 ODIs with wickets and runs. And yeah, her spot in the order seems to fluctuate quite a lot, up and down, but she's flexible and she generally delivers when she gets a chance.
She's a gun, isn't she? And it just showed they flex their muscles in 50 over cricket again, don't they? It's their format. So great 2 games. Do they have their third game? Do they have a break before the World Cup? They get a bit of time off. So
yeah, June for that one in England.
So that's a bit of a build-in to that. So hopefully they finish the 3 matches well. But yeah, great signs for the 50 over stuff. Not that that will apply in England, of course, but yeah, just like we spoke about, Alyssa Healy moving on, bit of a transition period, but some younger players have come in and just shown they're at home. So the future does look bright for the women's team.
And Sophie Molyneux, she's in this team at the minute. She's not bowling because she can't with her injury at the minute. So it's good that she can still play and contribute, and she's been making runs and sort of batting up the order a bit as well. Obviously, she's captain, so she needs to be around this team, and just having time in the 11 would be more valuable than trying to lead from the sidelines, I suppose.
Oh, absolutely. And just being out there, as you said, captaining, building the relationship between bowlers, field placings, her bowling ability will fit in, wherever. Like that's just such a bonus to have. So, yeah, to have her on the ground there, building those relationships before the World Cup, such a massive plus rather than her, sitting at home in Australia or just being on the bench there. So, good signs.
And unlike South Australia from your era, there's no shortage of all-rounders in this Australian women's team, is there? Everybody seemingly bowls, so they've got plenty of options to choose
It's a good problem to have, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a good way to build a white ball team because if, certain things aren't panning out on the day, you've got 5 or 6 other options that can fill the void. It can sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen, but if things are going well, good leadership, I'm sure it's a good problem to have.
Totally. Let's get to the PSL. I felt a bit bad because we gave so much attention to the IPL on the last episode, but we've got as many Australians playing in Pakistan as we do in India this season. So let's just quickly run through who's over there. There's 3 Australian captains across the league, which is great to see, including Ashton Turner, who's leading the Multan Sultans. Mm-hmm. He's playing there with Steve Smith, Josh Philippi, Peter Siddle, Lockie Shaw. At the Karachi Kings, we've got that man Adam Zampa from the Weekly Winner, and he's captained by David Warner. The Quetta Gladiators, that's a pretty good nickname as well, isn't it? They've got Ben McDermott and Sam Harper, who's going to arrive after playing in that Sheffield Shield final. The Hyderabad Kingsmen, one of the new sides who have come in, Marnus Labuschagne is their captain, and they've also got Riley Meredith, and they will soon be joined by Glenn Maxwell. Royal Pindies, the other new team, Usman Khawaja is leading the charge for them. He's just been a late inclusion. Peshawar Zalmi have Aaron Hardy. Lahore Qualanders, they have Daniel Sams. They've provided the Melbourne Stars with quite a few players over the years, the Qualanders. And Islamabad United, they've got Chris Green. So lots and lots of players to be across. I've seen that there's been some action on Foxtel and KO Sports if you want to catch some of the PSL. No crowds, of course, which is a shame because of the fuel and oil crisis at the minute, but plenty of Aussies strutting their stuff.
Yeah, it's a few games in, so I'm trying to think who's Zamps has started well, like his man of the match chat that you threw to. Right, my boy Riley Meredith had a good game.
He's been taking wickets.
Josh Phillippe started well, and Ashton Turner, as you said, as captain. So it's almost those guys who, if you're not in the IPL reckoning, to go and play a quality competition at the exact same time, and like you said, the Sam Harpers, these guys who haven't had an opportunity to play franchise cricket, all of a sudden thrown into what is a really good league over there. So it's unfortunate crowds aren't there because it's a bit of a COVID film. We don't want to go back to that, but still quality cricketers throughout. So I'm not sure the time zone, but if you can, tune in.
Well, Harper was the other breakout player that we missed.
I thought you mentioned him.
Did I mention him? Well, neither of us picked him.
Yeah.
And he had a fantastic season, didn't he? All three formats, a memorable century on Boxing Day.
Memorable. I'll remember that for the rest of my life. But also the Shield, he backed that up, didn't he? Opening the batting. So
Twin tons.
Yeah.
And some good runs in the One Day Cup as well. So,
yep.
I mean, who knows? If we get to a tour and we need another backup keeper, well, he's putting his hand right up.
You never
for
have too many of those, can you?
No, you can't. Cameron Green, he's not bowling in the IPL at the minute. Cricket Australia have said he's just got a little back niggle at the minute, so they're being ultra cautious, given he had that serious back surgery about 18 months ago now, and that's fair enough. If he doesn't bowl in the first fortnight of this tournament, well, it's an 8-week tournament or something, isn't it? So he's got plenty of time to build into that, but there were a few questions surrounding that, so good to see that they're just easing him back into that.
I'm sure there was some conversation. I'm not sure this just happened overnight. I'm sure there was some dialogue has been had in the lead up. So, but what a gig he has to bat 3 on 4 mil. That's a great gig. Just stroll out there in the power play, strike a few around, put the fielding boots on, chill at cover. It's a great gig. So but like I jokingly said on the part timers, and we had him and T20 cricket part time. But we do need him bowling more, I think. Like his skill set, again, especially white ball cricket, his batting's great, but to throw him the ball, again, like we said with the women's team, you can never have too many of that player. So hopefully his body can get over those things because you need him bowling. He bowls 140 Ks. He started his career as a bowler in Shield cricket. His numbers are great. So
is it fair to say we haven't seen the best of him bowling at international level?
There's been glimpses in test matches, I think.
Yeah.
Which, again, like the Liam Scott conversation, just great to have someone that you can throw 10 overs to. And he could, if he wanted to be a frontline quick, he probably could have been in a different career. But his batting's so good that it's taken the
Well, he came into the WA side as a number 8, number 9, didn't
bowler,
he?
Bowler. And I think he took a first class fifer in maybe his second or third game. So it's funny how it's a bit of Shane Watson trajectory in terms of the batting has taken over his time, but it'd be such a waste to not have someone like that being able to bowl as well. And especially in white ball cricket, to have him, it doesn't have to be 10 overs in one day. It doesn't have to be 4 in a T20, but to throw him an over or 2 in a T20 or a spell in a one day, just in the middle when nothing else is happening, is pretty handy. So hopefully he can get that body right.
So we might see him opening the batting with Simon Katich soon in Test cricket, is that what you're saying, if he's following the Watson trajectory?
Wow. That's not what I meant, but I'll leave that one alone.
All right. Now, the under-19 women, there's going to be cricket happening all throughout April in Australia. Kristen Beams and Meg Lanning, they are going to be coaching the new squad of Australian stars. They've got a T20 World Cup coming up next year, and so they're playing against England and Sri Lanka over the next month. I had a quick chat to those two coaches about what's coming up and which of the players we should be looking out for, and here they are now. April may signal the end of cricket season for some, but not for a squad of Australia's best young female cricketers. Former Australian leg spinner Kristen Beams is head coach of the Australian under-19s. They've got games against England and Sri Lanka coming up, and she'll be assisted by Meg Lanning as well in the coaching department there. So welcome to the Unplayable Podcast, you two. Kristen, why don't we start with you? Tell us about this tri-series that's coming up.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, it's a really great opportunity, this tri-series. And we've tried a lot of tri-series in the under-19 space. We think it's great preparation for match play leading into World Cups, but to have great opposition in England and Sri Lanka joining us in a series that's got both 50 over and T20 cricket, we think is the right style of preparation for a World Cup, but also to help them with those development pieces to hopefully go on and be a part of multi-format series for Australia moving forward. So it's an opportunity within 12 months of a World Cup to actually go and play against really good opposition, try some things at the back end of a season, which is a really cool time. They've made some great gains already across the season, a chance to go and show off their skills.
Now, you mentioned that World Cup a couple of times there. Bangladesh and Nepal, that's next year. Is that what the focus for this series is on, or are you looking at other things as well?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a mixture. This group of players that we have here are all eligible to go to the Under-19 World Cup, so that's a really nice piece that's ahead of them as well. But we look even further ahead for these series as well. It's not just about leading into a World Cup. It's obviously great to have that preparation and to go into those World Cup and learn tournament play and try and find ways to win a World Cup. We think there's great development in that, but also to think forward to some skills and development pieces that they might need to be successful in WBBL and WNCL cricket and going on to being future Australian players. So what are all those building blocks that's going to help them to make gains in their playing career? And, hopefully we've seen some of these girls play WNCL cricket already. So some of them are already getting exposed at a pretty young age.
Now, you've got Meg on as development coach here. How did that recruitment take place? Was that your doing, or has Meg put her hand up? How did that all work out?
I actually think it was a little bit of that. I think when you're thinking about people that you want in and around our best young players, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer to have Meg involved. And I think on multiple fronts, I think the way she thinks about the game as a captain and being able to mentor a group of young leaders who are really at the start of their journey and understanding leadership's a really special part. But also from that batting piece as well, I think working with Lisa Kitely, I think it's such a great mixture of experiences in different styles that's going to be really helpful for players. So I think there's probably a few nervous girls thinking about talking to Meg Lanning over the next 3 weeks. But I think for me personally, as somebody I played a lot of cricket with and had a great working relationship as bowler captain, I think that's really crucial for players moving forward. So no brainer for me to kind of pester about it. We had her at the Lanning Perry last year, which is funny in itself because it's a town named after her. But I think to have her involved and to bring her, on this journey and working with our best under-19 players, and there's no doubt she could go on and be a great coach if she wants to. And but at the moment, it's just about her having a great experience with these girls as well.
And Meg, you've been captain virtually your whole career. How have you found the transition from captaincy into coaching? It's still early days, but how have you found it so far?
Yeah, it's something I'm really looking forward to. I feel like I've got a lot to learn and understand, I guess, from a coach's perspective. Obviously done a lot of playing over the time and understand that view, but it is slightly different, I guess, from a coach's perspective. But I get the opportunity to work with Beamsy and Lisa Kitely, Clive Rose as well, who've had some really good experience in this space and especially working with the Pathway girls. So, I feel like I'm really excited about the opportunity to learn a lot through the process, but then also get to know the girls and try and pass on some of the knowledge and experiences that I had throughout my career and try and help them develop as much as possible and also help them to have a really enjoyable and fun experience. I know growing up when I got the opportunity to meet other players who played for a long time, I always enjoyed that experience and left it in a really positive way. So that's really something I'm hoping to do with this group of girls is make sure they have some fun and learn some things along the way and hopefully they leave this tour better cricketers and people.
The pathway system seems really strong at the minute. Meg, when you made your debut for Victoria, you were 16, I believe. It must be a completely different landscape to what it was then to what it is now for these young girls coming through.
Yeah, absolutely. The talent coming through is incredible. There's really highly skilled players coming in who, really get opportunities at higher levels at a very young age. And it's really exciting to see. I think, it's a testament to the pathway programs that are in place with Beamsy sort of leading the way in that. It gives them really good opportunities to learn and develop and also expose them to challenging situations as well. So I think that's what we'll get throughout this series, come out up against two different teams in Sri Lanka and England. I think that just provides the platform for girls to be exposed to different situations and I guess prepares them in a way for what might come moving forward too. And we've seen with some of the young debutants in the Australian team at the moment, they come into the side and they're able to dominate and contribute straight away. So that's what I guess tours like this are about, is trying to expose them, the younger girls to things they might come up against down the track.
Now, Kristen, this one's for you. Kiva Bray, her name isn't in this squad. She had that back stress fracture earlier in the season. Do you have an update on her and how she's tracking?
Yeah, she was unavailable for this series, but obviously always comes up in conversation as well. So well and truly eligible for the next World Cup as well. So look, we've seen her perform at the highest level domestically. She was unbelievable in the last World Cup, named in the team of the tournament. So, when she's fit and able, I'd expect her to be in and around this group. I think she's one of quite a few really exciting players who has looked really comfortable at a senior level, but also in and around this program as well. So we hope to have her around in the future for that. But it also provides an opportunity for other young players. So there's others that are getting that opportunity as well. And injury is an unfortunate part of the game, but it's something that you got to kind of work through, and we look forward to having her back around soon.
Lucy Hamilton, she's the one who is fresh out of that under-19 system and has already made waves on the international scene. We've got Mia Barwick making some headlines down in Tasmania as well. She's in this squad. Who are the other names that we should be watching out for during this series?
Yeah, I think what's been great for many of these girls through the Spring Challenge leading into the last WBBL have had an opportunity. Aya Stafford has played for Japan as well as the Australian under-19 group and played in the Spring Challenge for the Brisbane Heat. As did Philippa Susi, played in there as well. Ira Airy has played for Victoria in WNCL in the new year, as well as the Melbourne Stars through the Spring Challenge. So there's actually quite a few of the girls that have had those opportunities, as well as the ones that you've mentioned as well. And I think that's a really cool part about where the women's game is at. I think those talented players through competitions like the Spring Challenge are getting the opportunity, as well as this sort of international under-19 cricket as well. I feel like every time I talk to someone I used to play with or a past player from the Aussie setup, they always say, I wish I'd have had an under-19 World Cup. We're coming up to the third edition of that under-19 World Cup. So it's a pretty cool opportunity that helps prepare you to be playing senior cricket. And we've seen a lot of the guys come through the under-19 male World Cup and go on and play for Australia. So it's a pretty cool thing to be a part of.
And Megan, on the batting front, are there some good young stars that have really caught your eye so far? And I mean, as Kristen touched on, a couple of these players have already played WNCL, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some really, really good depth within the squad. And I guess it just provides all of them with opportunities to really show us what their skills are. So, yeah, for me, it's just about learning a little bit about these players and what their strengths are, and where are some areas where they can keep improving their game and then keep taking it to the next level. So, I haven't had a lot of exposure to them, I guess, but really excited just to see them develop and try and understand their games a little bit more, so that, when they do get into those spring challenges or into WNCL, then they're pretty well equipped to be able to perform. So, we've had a training session here today and really excited about the talent that's on show and what we've got to work with.
Now, England are one of the opponents. Do the girls need to be reminded or given any lessons on what the Australia versus England rivalry means, or are they pretty up to date with all that?
I think it's well and truly entrenched in them for whatever reason. I think that just happens to be the case. So I'd expect it'll be a good little tussle. We've had some good contests against them in the past as well. And I think it's really good for us to come up against them as opposition. We've played a lot of cricket in the subcontinent against Sri Lanka and really kind of spin dominated. So it's nice to come up against England who, you look at both competitions in the WBBL and the 100, where, both teams are hoping to push players through into that as well. So they're really good opposition for us. And hopefully they'll have some battles now and they'll go into an Ashes series in 5 years' time, and they'll be able to pick up those contests where they left off. So we'll start them young in terms of that rivalry, that's for sure.
Kristen, we all love a leg spinner, especially on this podcast. Are there any strong leg spinners coming through as well in this squad?
I always get in trouble for picking at too many leg spinners. But you're right, I tend to always find a way. But we actually have 3 leg spinners in this group. In Tegan Williams, who went to the last World Cup. Aya Stafford, as I mentioned, played for Japan, as well as the Aussie under-19s, and Emily Powell as well. So 3 really different styles of leg spinners, which is really cool to have in and around the group. Probably more spin bowlers in this cycle. Each cycle is a little bit different. I thought we had quite a few pace bowlers, which was led by Lucy Hamilton in the last cycle, and this one a few more spinners. So I'll never be complaining about lots of spinners, that's for sure.
And just finally, this one's for both of you. Teenagers obviously have a very different vocabulary to every other generation. Are you guys up with the current lingo of the young crop or struggling a bit on that front?
Not up to date. Not up to date. It's like another language they're talking sometimes. So, but there's lots of personalities here, which is really cool. And we love people to come in and try and be themselves and provide some entertainment. So no doubt there'll be plenty of that throughout the series.
Yeah, there's nothing better to make you feel old than hanging out with teenagers, that's for sure. So I don't know often what they're talking about, and they probably don't know what we're talking about either, and what social media platform is popular. I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, so teenage lingo, Richo, it's obviously going to be important for those coaches to try and get across it. I must admit I'm feeling old every time I speak to someone younger. How are you? I mean, your kids probably aren't quite at that stage.
Yeah, they're not that age. No, different language, isn't it? It would be a challenge. The communication has to be pinpoint with the teenagers because, they've got their own language now, haven't they? So just keep it cricket specific. I think you'll be fine.
The cricket lexicon doesn't change too much.
Nah, it stands the test of time, doesn't it? The cricket chat. So yeah, they'll be fine.
All right, that'll just about do us for this season, Richo. We've toiled away and we've got here to this final stage and final episode of the season. So good work from this corner of the podcast. What's planned for your off season? Are you going to be putting the feet up or hitting the nets, or what's on for you?
There'll be no hitting of the nets. They'll be putting the feet up for sure. So, no, I've enjoyed it. Thanks for the opportunity. I've loved once a week just chatting cricket. So try and keep a close eye on what's going on. But thanks, Captain. You run a really tight ship over here. We've changed studios twice, so we've been around. It's been a long season. Back in July or August we started. So there's been a bit going on, but now we wind down. We taper. It's Mad Monday. We relax and we have a good off season. So what about you?
I'm going to be putting my feet up. I've got a few events coming up.
Yep.
I've got actually getting married in end of May. So shout out to my fiance Bella. She's been looking for a shout out for the whole season. So there you go. Last episode.
There you go.
Got one. And then
she's been tuning in all year.
And then heading over, actually, you mentioned Bosnia and Herzegovina,
Yes.
heading to the FIFA World Cup to watch Australia and
Yes.
Bosnia. So that'll be fun.
Excellent. Well, big off season for you, not for me. So enjoy that. Good luck with it. And when will the Unplayable pod be back? Do you know?
We'll probably be back in August, I'd say, ahead of the Australia Test matches against Bangladesh. So maybe we'll be chatting then.
We'll see. So stay tuned for that. But again, thanks for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure.
It's time to head to the pub.
You stay classy, San Diego.